Hello and thanks for joining us from our studios in Israel. Coming up in today's newscast, fires possibly caused by arson continue to tear through the Jewish state. Prime Minister Netanyahu falls under investigation over German submarines, and a teenage Palestinian terrorist is sentenced to prison. I'm Aaron Porras here with the latest news in Israel. For the third straight day, brush fires continue to blaze in locations across the country. Tens of thousands of people have been evacuated from their homes across over a dozen cities, and it isn't yet clear when the flames are expected to stop. Due to the continuing crisis, a number of countries have sent Israel firefighting planes and other equipment. Bolstered by high winds and dry conditions, the fires continue to spread faster than the firefighters can extinguish them. Some of the locations with fires include Haifa, Modi'in, the Jerusalem Hills, and the West Bank. Thankfully, the major fire in the Zichron area has largely been extinguished, though many homes have been damaged. A number of firefighters have been injured while fighting the fires, and the police have called on the public to stay away from areas in question. Firefighters have been struggling since Tuesday to keep pace with the spat of brush fires. And meanwhile, Israeli officials called for international help, and firefighting planes have already arrived from Greece and Cyprus, with more expected from Turkey, Croatia, Italy, and Russia. Prime Minister Netanyahu says that there is some evidence that up to half of the blazes were the result of arson, and may have been nationalistically motivated. The police are still investigating.
לפי תחזית מזג האוויר ששמעתי כאן, אנחנו עדיין לא יכולים לומר שתנאי היובש והרוחות שהם שיוצרים גם את ההצתות הטבעיות וגם הצתות לא טבעיות. ומייצרות אפשרות להרבה מאוד הצתות. התנאים הללו אינם עומדים להסתיים, כנראה לא מחר ואולי גם לא מחרתיים. ולכן אנחנו נערכים בדרכים שונות כדי לטפל בבעיה הזאת.
At the moment, both aeroplanes as well as firefighters on the ground are dealing with the flames. No injuries have been reported until now, and of course we're looking to see whether the fire began as a result of severe weather conditions or whether there were any suspects who could have been behind that and started the fire deliberately.
The outlook for an early end to the fires is not optimistic. According to weather forecasters, no rain is expected until the end of next week. In addition, fires are likely to spread in the coming days due to high winds of up to 100 kilometers per hour. Prime Minister Netanyahu isn't out of the deep end just yet as the plot thickens surrounding the Israeli acquisition of 3 German submarines. Attorney General Avichai Mandelblit has ordered the Israeli police to formally open an investigation into the so-called German submarines affair. The probe was launched after it was revealed that Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu's attorney had represented the German sub company, raising concerns over possible conflicts of interest. Suspicions of impropriety were raised when former Defense Minister Moshe Ya'alon said he was sidelined on the purchase plans, which proceeded after he was replaced earlier this year. Netanyahu's personal attorney, David Shimron, is alleged to have lobbied the government to purchase 3 new Dolphin submarines from the German company ThyssenKrupp, despite the IDF reportedly not wanting the new crafts. Shimron has denied any wrongdoing, saying he welcomed the probe, and Netanyahu's office published a statement expressing its complete faith in Shimron's integrity. ThyssenKrupp also said last week that it believed there was no misconduct in the purchase. Many Israelis are still haunted by images of the terror attack last year, where 2 young Palestinian girls armed with scissors suddenly started stabbing Israeli pedestrians on a Jerusalem street. One of the assailants has today been sentenced to spend the next 13 years behind bars. The girl was just 16 when she and her 14-year-old cousin took a bus to the capital from their village just north of Jerusalem. After praying at the Al-Aqsa Mosque on the Temple Mount, they bought scissors that a salesman reportedly promised, quote, would be strong enough to hurt somebody. They then sought out their mission of finding Jewish victims to kill on one of the busiest streets in the city. A security camera captured their vicious stabbing attack of an old man who'd been dozing on a bench. An armed civilian rushed to the scene and fatally shot the 14-year-old after she first stabbed him in the arm. In addition to her prison term, the surviving teenager was ordered to pay $7,750 in compensation to her elderly victim, who turned out to not even be Jewish, but rather a fellow Arab Palestinian. There's less than 2 weeks left before the final verdict in IDF soldier Elor Azaria's controversial case is handed down. The prosecution and defense presented their final oral arguments yesterday at the trial of Sergeant Elor Azaria, who is charged with manslaughter for shooting an already subdued Palestinian stabber on March 24th in Hebron. Prosecutor Nadav Weissman told the Jaffa military court that he had found no legal precedent that declares it legal to shoot a person who has already been shot and wounded for many minutes. Defense attorney Ilan Katz said Azaria had acted in self-defense, adding that the case showed the world had been turned upside down. A widely circulated video online appears to show Azaria shooting Abdul Fattah al-Sharif in the head, despite him lying flat on the ground and seemingly posing no threat. The case has divided Israelis, with some calling for Azaria to be jailed, and others saying, as Azaria claimed in court, that he was responding to a threat from Sharif. Sharif, for his part, had just minutes earlier stabbed another soldier before being neutralized. Veteran journalist Liat Collins is personally bothered by the blaring sound from the muezzin loudspeakers that call Muslim believers to prayer 5 times each day. But Collins opposes the law proposed by the government to limit the noise levels and told ILTV's Steve Leibowitz that the problem can be solved instead with diligent enforcement on the municipal level.
Yes, I live in Jerusalem, and I am often woken up by the muezzin at about 4:30 in the morning.
Well, isn't that sound pollution? Isn't that loud noise pollution that has to be prevented by the government?
First of all, I think it should be prevented on a municipal basis or by municipal bylaws. There are existing laws for controlling the sound of the muezzin. And certainly the 4:30 in the morning wake-up call is bothersome. It shouldn't really be reaching as far as my neighborhood. I don't know what it's doing for the local residents and next to the mosques in the villages, for example.
For those that are not observant Muslims that
Right.
don't really want to know when prayers start.
Right, or at that particular volume. Also, there's obviously calls afterwards in the afternoon and during the day. That really bothers me much less. It's like it's almost background music and routine. It's part of the sound of Jerusalem. I don't have a problem with that. That's like hearing church bells or something.
So what is your view of the new law that's being proposed to severely limit or eliminate the loudspeaker usage by muezzin, by the minarets?
I think there's an element of politicization here. I don't think we necessarily need a new law. I think we need better enforcement of existing laws and bylaws on noise pollution. I think in most cases that would cover it. I understand the ultra-Orthodox parties were concerned that it would affect also the sound of the siren on Shabbat, which we also hear on a Friday afternoon.
Churches also have bells that ring on
right.
occasion.
In our neighborhood, we definitely hear that. We hear the bells from the St. Simon Monastery.
So you're opposed to the law, but wouldn't you say that the muezzin, in effect, the way that they're using those loudspeakers, or that some use those loudspeakers, is not only to let people know that it's prayer time, it's also they're sending out a very sharp political message sometimes.
Indeed, and you can tell almost the mood of what's going on in the country from a security situation, terror levels and so on. You can tell that by the volume of the muezzin. It's uncanny, but it's actually a good gauge of what's going on. In relatively peaceful times, the muezzin also the volume is much lower, and then when in intense times you hear the muezzin, and also the speeches, the lectures that they give, which are also very problematic.
Other countries have limitations on the muezzin. Even in Muslim countries, I understand that there are limitations put on how loud they can broadcast or how often. So is it racist for Israel to do the same kind of a thing, or prejudice, as Ahmed Tibi calls it, a war against the Muslims?
Well, that's it. That's the element of politicization on both sides. What I was also going to say is that, for example, sometimes there's a problem of noise pollution even from Achnasat Sefer Torah. When you have accompany a new Torah scroll into a synagogue, makes a huge it's joyous sound, it's dancing and singing, and the streets and roads are blocked. But that could bother people. It's 7 o'clock, 7:30 in the evening. People are trying to put their babies to bed and to sleep, and that could also bother people. So again, I think you need to have always. I think it makes more sense to try and see. Have a dialogue and to reason with people and do it that way rather than through a law. And that it's going to fall, even if the law passes, I think it's going to fall through on the enforcement level.
Liad Collins, thanks so much for being with us at ILTV.
Thanks for having me.
One of the most frustrating things you can experience is the feeling of helplessness, especially when it's something like handiwork that you could physically do if only you knew how. Well, one Israeli company is making that a possibility, and in an ingenious way. Evyatar Meiron is the CEO of FieldBit, and today he's here with me in the studio to tell us more. Thank you so much for coming in.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
I'm glad you're here. So tell me, first of all, what is FieldBit?
Okay, FieldBit is a collaboration platform between technicians, experts, operators, end users that helps solving problems on site with big machines.
Okay, so what kind of problems are we talking about? Like what kind of big machines?
Okay, well, first of all, the platform uses augmented reality and smart glasses, which I didn't mention before. And we are talking about big machines which cost hundreds of thousands of dollars that are in remote locations. Usually the machines that involve electromechanical equipment, because these are the most complicated machines.
Okay, so how does it work? I mean, I'm out in the middle of nowhere. I need to fix this thing. How does FieldBit help me?
Exactly. That's the problem that many technicians having problems on site, and sometimes also operators, and they can't solve the problem. Now, using a FieldBit smart solution, the technician wears the smart glasses, and through the smart glasses, expert can help him by sending him annotations that appears in front of the eyes of the technician, as if it resides on the target itself. So, for example, if there is let's say a large printing system equipment, and there is something wrong with the system, and the technician doesn't know how to solve the problem, then the expert, which is in the service center, can tell him, okay, look on this valve, or look on this specific place, and here I send you instructions step by step how to solve the problem in real time, everything.
So first of all, what if I don't have smart glasses? It'll work on a smartphone as well, correct?
Yes. Okay. Well, the smart glasses industry started, a few years ago,
and it's relatively new to take off.
And it's relatively new, and we believe that it will be the dominant this industry. But until now, we developed the solution also on smartphones. So our solution is available on iOS and Android, and also on the internet. So any platform.
So it seems kind of amazing that I can get a real life help, not only in real time, but about whatever random thing that I'm working on, and that you can imprint directions directly onto my screen or in front of my field of vision on top of what it is that I'm doing. So what are some of your resources? You must have experts on everything.
Yeah, well, actually, it's not simple because, first of all, we need to have mobile development capabilities, server and web capabilities, and on top of it, also video streaming, and of course, augmented reality. So it's quite a challenging environment, and of course, we're talking about also smart glasses.
Yeah.
They are a little bit there are some difference between the smart glasses, and this industry is growing very, very fast.
Yeah, I mean, I would imagine with smart glasses it's easier because you have both hands. With the smartphone, you probably
that's exactly the point. With smart glasses, it's easier for the technician because his hands are free, but it's more difficult for us because there is no input device. So what we did, we developed a kind of system that by a head movement, the technician can really interact with the system and can choose and can select the screens and everything.
So it's not just, I call FieldBit and tell them this XY machine is not working, what do I do? And they give me instructions. It's actual feedback, conversation, collaborative work between the technician on the ground and your company.
Yes. In fact, we have three different use cases. The first use case is between the service center and the technician.
Okay.
When if the customer has, our customer is manufacturer of this equipment, they have hundreds of technicians all over the world. Today they are driving or flying all over the world, and with our system, the technician, the expert can be in the service center, and the young technicians can be sent outside, and then the expert can help the technician. This is the first use case. The second use case is when two technicians can help each other when there is no service center and there are technicians all over. For example, in the telecommunication or in utilities, there are thousands of technicians in each company, and they need to help each other. So
Sure.
our solution can be used between the technician, the expert that is is using his smartphone,
Right.
and the technician on site on his smart glasses. And the third use case, which is most important, most interesting, is when the technician or when the customer, the end user, the operator on site call the service center, and instead of sending the technician, the expert help the operator to solve the problem.
Sure.
Therefore, everybody wins because the operator, the end user, his machine is solved, immediately. It doesn't need to wait. There is no downtime. And from the manufacturer point of view, that they don't need to send a technician. It's saving a lot of costs.
Wow. So who will most benefit from FieldBit? Who are you marketing towards? Are you marketing towards, major companies where they have a lot of technicians and they're kind of all constantly working on these things? Or, if I'm working on the boiler in my house, can I call you guys?
Okay. Well, obviously, if you're working on your boiler, we can solve it also. But because we are a small company, we need to devote our resources to places where the value is the highest. So we have two types of customers: manufacturers of equipment, as I said before, and we have also users, end users, companies, enterprise that use a lot of this equipment. In the first part, we are focusing on companies that, like in machine builders, manufacturers of industrial equipment, medical devices, printing systems. And on the other side, we are focusing on companies in the utilities, water utilities, electric utilities, and also telecommunication companies. Now, you need to understand that all these companies, they have hundreds or thousands or tens of thousands of technicians, and we are not the only solution. We can also be integrated with other solutions. For example, Click Software, which is the field service management software. We have integrated our solution together with Click Software, so it can be used as a one coherent and end-to-end solution.
So no matter what, basically you're saying that, even if the FieldBit technicians are not necessarily up to par to answer the questions that you have, you're integrated with another system that can help.
Exactly.
So no matter what, everybody's covered. That's awesome.
Yeah, that's what our customers tell us also. It's really very innovative, and customers understand it really very fast. It's no-brainer because today, the technicians need their hands, all the knowledge is in the head, which is a lot of cost for the organization to train the technician, and then afterwards there's also an aging workforce problem. One of our customers, they have 10,000 technicians, and 30% of them are retiring in the next 4 years. So they have a major problem of knowledge retention. And that's what we can solve them.
Losing a lot of skilled labor when that sort of thing happens. So I guess one of my final questions here is, when and where will FieldBit be available if it isn't already?
We released the product about a year ago. We have already about 15 customers in these specific markets. We are selling, the product already over a year, and we are planning to expand. Today we are selling only in Europe, in Israel. almost no sales in Israel because it's not so. And we are focusing to the US and in Europe currently.
Well, this is amazing, and I really hope to get some glass. Now I need Google glasses. I didn't have them before, but for this I need them, and fix up everything in my house and never have to call on anybody else again. So, thank you so much. It was a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you very much, Aaron.
Yeah, and good luck with FieldBit.
Thank you very much.
Welcome. Well, it looks like the one day of calm at Israel's Ben Gurion airport has ended and disruptions are set to resume after marathon negotiations have so far failed to resolve a dispute with pilots at the country's national carrier. Passengers flying out on El Al Airlines are complaining that ongoing sanctions are causing more than 8-hour delays or even the outright cancellation of some flights. El Al and the Histadrut Labor Federation appeared to be close to an agreement last night after 11 hours of negotiations, but El Al management later accused the pilots of circulating false information as a pressure tactic. The dispute has been going on for 2 years now over a number of issues. The pilots want higher pay and to operate flights in just one direction instead of having to fly return trips as well. As a means of alleviating some of the disruptions, El Al has been chartering out some of the scheduled flights to other airlines. Meanwhile, German airline Lufthansa is canceling 8 flights between Israel and Germany scheduled for today and tomorrow due to its own strike with their pilots. Passengers on the national German carrier will receive refunds if they cancel their orders or can instead travel aboard one of the company's partners, Swiss, Austrian, or Brussels Airlines. About 10,000 migrants have died over the past 3 years while trying to make their way across the Mediterranean Sea to reach Europe. Now Israel is joining efforts to save the lives of these desperate people who often travel in unseaworthy boats, which frequently fail to reach their destinations. Israel's emergency medical service is called Magen David Adom, meaning the Red Star of David. The organization just dispatched its first paramedic to help in rescue operations off the coast of Libya. 23-year-old Israel Papa spent 5 weeks working aboard a special Red Cross ship called the Migrant Offshore Aid Station that provides the refugees with humanitarian aid and safe passage to Italy. Many even require immediate medical attention after having been beaten and abused by the human traffickers that they paid to take them across the sea. The young Israeli paramedic helped treat scores of migrants who are fleeing war and poverty in their home nations in Africa and the Middle East. During his free time, Papa spent time playing with the uprooted children. He says he was deeply touched by the refugees' plight and often thinks about, quote, how unfortunate and incredibly unfair it is that some people are born into a tougher life than others. Masa Israel is home to the widest variety of immersive international experiences for Jewish young adults 18 to 30. Find the right study abroad internship, service learning, or Jewish studies program to help you grow as a person, a professional, and a leader, while also developing a robust global professional network that includes Israelis and Jews from around the world. And now for our Hebrew word of the day. Tonight is Thanksgiving, and I, for one, can hardly handle the wait until dinner, so today's word is metach, which means suspense. Being stuck in metach over a delicious family meal is, of course, just one example for this word, but similar to English, metach can also be synonymous with the strain or stress associated with anxiety, as well as mechanical suspension or tension. So maybe you're in metach after your favorite show ends in a cliffhanger, or maybe you're feeling some metach while walking through a dark room. Perhaps you're just checking the metach of the serpentine belt in your car. Whatever it is, at least my metach will subside with a slice of turkey. All right, let's go ahead and take a look at the weather forecast. ILTV's weather forecast is sponsored by Adopt a Savta, taking care of Israel's lonely Holocaust survivors. The weekend is here and it comes with a slight rise in temperatures. Tonight's low will be 55 Fahrenheit or 13 degrees Celsius. But through Friday and Saturday, temperatures should approach highs of 72 or 22 degrees Celsius. All right, everybody, that's it for today's news. Today's exchange rate is 3.87 shekels to the American dollar. Remember to sign up for our daily newsletter at iltv.tv. Thanks for watching, and see you tonight.